For me, it's this cadence of talking between like, oh, I worked out today and I'm sore, to, oh, I just had a really cool coaching call with a client, to I recorded an amazing podcast episode, because people like to see the inside of your personal life too. And this really works. And why? Because people want to know that they can relate to you. And social media gives you an incredible opportunity to be relatable. Hey, it's Renee. Welcome to the Into the Wild Show, the podcast for women who want to build incredible mental strength to level up their business and lifestyle. I'm Renee Warren, the founder of We Wild Women, author, speaker, award-winning entrepreneur, and your host. Together, we will make you unapologetic about shining your light, growing your business, and turning you into a wildly confident and successful leader. This is for you, the visionary, the go-getter, the entrepreneur, and for those that need a real kick in the butt to get going and to dream bigger. Each week, I bring in leading experts and entrepreneurs to help you take leaps in the right direction, because I know the best advice comes from someone who has successfully done it before. So, are you ready to level up? Welcome to Into the Wild. Hey, wild women. Welcome to almost the end of October. This is insane. We had such an incredible month celebrating our Master Your Marketing Mindset series. And I'm hoping that you've all taken away a little bit of something from at least myself or one of these guests with regards to preparing yourself for your marketing season in 2024. And today, what I want to talk about really quickly, just because this has been a thing on my mind as I see pitches coming in to me to be a guest on my show, and the work that I'm doing with some of my clients, is the importance of having a social media presence in order to land PR and podcast interviews. But even beyond that, the importance of sharing the right content at the right time with the right messaging. And here's why. The reality is, if you're a small to medium-sized business owner, so we're talking about less than 20 employees, but even beyond that, it's important. But for what I know, less than 20 employees, you typically are the face of the company. You're the face of the brand. So people want to know who you are. Even if you don't want to, it is really important to have a personal brand. It is really important to stand for something. And especially if it's outward facing on your social media accounts, wherever you update your content, that it's relevant to your audience. So I get a lot of clients that come to me and they're like, hey, Renee, I don't know, with Instagram, for example, should I have a personal account and a business account? Should it just be me? And the answer really is, it depends. It really depends. There's so many variables as to why you should or shouldn't do it certain ways. I'm not going to go into detail about that. All I want to say is that regardless of whether you have a personal account or accounts and professional business related accounts, whatever you're promoting in your pitches, whatever you're promoting to other podcast hosts or the media or people in your network, make sure that social media account is being updated. I've gone to websites before where people pitch me all the time to be a guest on the show. And while some of them have really great intention, they'll put like a list of 5 to 6 social media accounts that they have an account for. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're updating the content. And it looks bad on them. And so why I'm saying this is we're often super busy as entrepreneurs. We've got so many things going on, a team that we're guiding, contractors, freelancers, clients, customers. We often don't have the time to come up with a simple social media strategy. And we also feel defeated and deflated because a lot of us just don't have the following that we want. I don't either. And I've been working on this for a while. However, my content is good. It could get better. And I do know the importance of having the presence. And it just means that you have to come up with some cadence that works for you for posting content and what it is that you're going to say. Even if it's just run an afternoon bath, pour a cup of coffee or a tea, and start jotting down notes of the type of content that you want to share. The purpose of this is to establish your authority. So you want to build this authority in the space, because if you're pitching yourself or if you hire me or my team to work with you, the podcast hosts and the media, they want to know that you are somebody that is articulate, that you know what you're talking about, and they feel confident in having you as a guest or to interview you for the media. And social media is the most perfect place for this because no one is expecting perfection here on these platforms. No, it used to be the case where everything had to be beautiful and fine-tuned. No, people just want to know that you know what you're talking about and that you're the perfect person for their show, for their blog, whatever it is. And so there is a huge and growing importance on having some sort of social media presence in order for you to land PR and especially for you to get on podcasts. It's a changing landscape out there. We are essentially all our own media companies. If you're not in the business of creating content, it's going to get harder and harder for you to sell your products or services. And especially if you're the face of the company. If you're a small company, it really should be you going out there, shooting reels and videos and commenting and creating stories and figuring out what the balance is between personal content and business content. And there's so many free resources out there. One of the things that I do with my retainer clients is a very detailed content calendar where we come up with their 5 to 7 pillars of content, which is things like ask, inspire, educate, convert. And what we do is we create these calendars. So you look at like the month of October, the month of November, and certain days of the week have certain themes. And so we write the type of content that needs to be created for these days on these days of the month. And you can actually click through to the document that has the written captions or the guidelines for shooting the video. It takes a lot of work up front, but I don't want this to be anything that discourages you to do this. Say if you say, okay, I'm going to do maybe 1 reel a week and a couple posts, and that's fine. Then set the schedule, look at the next month, and start creating content that you know will inspire your audience. And I know there's some of us are like, oh, Renee, but I want to just do it for personal. I don't want to actually talk about business. That's fine. Then I would suggest that you create a business account or another version of your account that's more professional facing and come up with the type of content that you can talk about and share. Because like I said, if you're pitching podcasts or you hire us to do that for you, this is some of the work we would do. People are going to look at what you talk about online, what you share, and really get an essence of who you are. It's really all about personal branding, especially when it comes to Gen Z. So Gen Z is a demographic that, yes, they want quality products, they want decent price. That is now the baseline for most young people. But on top of that, they want authenticity. They want transparency. And some of the easiest ways to establish that is to show up on social. For me, it's this cadence of talking between like, oh, I worked out today and I'm sore, to, oh, I just had a really cool coaching call with a client, to I recorded an amazing podcast episode, because people like to see the inside and like kind of the backside of your personal life too. And this really works. And why? Because people want to know that they can relate to you. And social media gives you an incredible opportunity to be relatable. It also helps you build and maintain a strong presence. If you're interested on building your authority, I have a program that is designed specifically for women in business who are trying to reach their first $1 million of revenue. That is called the Authority Booster Intensive. Now, what it is, it's not just a day, it's not just a VIP day. It is a world-class PR strategy that is created and customized for you and your team that can be easily implemented into your current marketing initiatives. And it's a month-long access to me to help guide you through what it means to pitch yourself or from someone on your team to pitch you. And I've had well over 20 people come through this program to date. And the results have been incredible for these women and men too. And men, I do not discriminate. I had one client who told me that she used the methodology that got her on 3 super relevant podcasts that garnered her $100,000 in sales. I had other clients say, wow, I got on shows I didn't think were possible. We're building these rhythms and these SOPs now because of what you've created, Renee. And I know that this is an incredibly useful platform for many because it is so detailed and beyond the tactical stuff of what we create, like your media list, your media kit, your pitch angles. We actually help you become way more confident in not only pitching yourself or someone on the team pitching you, but in showing up to be the best podcast guest and to have the best replies to the media so that they are so excited to keep talking to you. They refer you to other people and whatnot. So if you're interested in building out a world-class PR strategy with me and my team, go to wewildwomen.com/VIP day. That's wewildwomen.com/VIP day. I just did a coaching call with my coach, Eleanor. She is amazing. I'm going to pull up some of the notes here. But essentially what we're talking about is the importance of creating this authority in this space. I use this thing called Remarkable. I don't know if you guys have Remarkable, but it is such an incredible tool. My problem is that I don't know how to pull up all the other pages. Okay, there we go. We were talking today on the call about creating some of the things that you need to do that work for you. So for me, for instance, for promoting myself and my services, I highlighted 4 things that I know work for me to get new customers. And the theme for it is really called virtual speaking. So we know that my podcast works for getting customers because people tune in, or I might invite somebody to be a guest on my show and they end up becoming a customer, as well as me being a guest on other people's shows. Another thing that works for me is teaching in programs. So teaching in other people's masterminds or coaching programs about PR. And the third thing that really works for me is social media. And I don't even have a huge presence. I think at this time I have like just shy of 6,700 followers. And most of those people aren't necessarily active. Yet it still converts people. And even if it doesn't convert them directly on the account, they get a sense of who I am and whether they know, like, and trust me to do business with me or to even follow me. And the fourth thing that works for me is creating quarterly workshops. But the theme around things 1, 2, and 3 that work for me is that virtual speaking component. And if it wasn't for social media and how I leverage social media, I wouldn't be invited to be a guest on some shows. I wouldn't be invited to be a guest speaker in any sort of masterminds. I would say that 99% of the network and the connections I've made in the last year and a half, 2 years, that has really helped me build my business and grow my business have been on social media. And it's not just me showing up and posting content. No, it's me being engaging, commenting, sharing, liking other people's stuff. So why I say this is that there is the importance in building that strong social presence. And strong by mean, you don't need hundreds of thousands of followers, but you need some decent content out there. You need to show up as yourself, to show who you are and kind of your values and your beliefs. But also know in all this, really, really important, is that you choose the right platforms. Maybe Instagram isn't good for you. Maybe it's TikTok or LinkedIn or YouTube, whatever it is. Do one channel really well. Make sure you have a compelling bio and profile. Make sure you're updating your header images. You have the most up-to-date headshot. Really stand out. This is kind of like your digital resume to being a guest on shows. Posting consistently, like I said, and use visuals as much as you can for storytelling, because there is a link between PR opportunities and social media. So one thing I want to talk about is that link, the link between social media, PR opportunities. When I get pitched to be a guest on my show, the first place I go to is Instagram, sometimes TikTok. I want to get an idea of where and how they share their content and if they're actually sharing maybe other shows that they had been on, because it gives me an idea of whether or not they will actually do the same for me. Because as a podcast host, one of the metrics that is super important for me is download numbers. And downloads tend to go up per episode when the guest shares it on their social profile. And so generally, there is a connection between a larger active social media following and that person actually providing value to their audience. So for me, if you have a decent active social media following, then yes, obviously, if you're a right fit value-wise and content-wise for the show, I want you as a guest because for me, I'm hoping you're going to bring more eyeballs to my show. That is what I want. I'm not going to deny that. And no marketer would ever deny that. That's what we all want, is that maximum exposure. And so when you have the opportunity to do this and you show that you're sharing, you're not lazy about it, you're actually putting in a conscious effort to share content if you've been on other shows, it really helps you set that authority and that credibility. And that's what people want. So it allows you to network. It allows you to give real-time engagement and feedback as social media. So when you think about like the opportunities when it comes to PR, I've seen it, and we see this all the time, that people do such a great job at creating and sharing content on social media that platform alone is what ends up helping them build their influence and their authority. Think about like the D'Amelio sisters, Dixie and Charlie D'Amelio. They started as older teenagers on TikTok, dancing. That's all they did. They showed up and they danced. They did funny faces and all that stuff. Now I think Dixie amasses over 80 million followers across her social platforms. And she's garnered $10 million of branded deals. She started a VC fund, a shoe company. She has collaborations with brands like My Muse, which is an enhanced water company, all because she showed up. And yes, some people roll their eyes like the 17-year-old girl, I think she's like 20-something now, however old she was when she started. And now she's worth all this money. She's making all this money because of TikTok. And people are like, well, that's not fair. Well, the people that say that's not fair are the victims. So if you can see that this woman had success doing this, then why can't we do the same? Because the more you grow your influence, the more you grow that authority, the more people will want your time. They will want you to be on their shows and interview you and all this stuff and get media coverage. That's kind of the point. It's also kind of the point of you doing PR. It's also the point of you going on podcasts is to help build that influence, to build that authority. Because at the end of the day, people buy from those they know, like, and trust. They also are intrigued and inspired by people that have that authority. So become the authority in your space. If you live and work in an industry that is oversaturated, carve out your little niche. What is it? How are you different? How is it that you're different than your competitors? And if it's a blue ocean for you, then that's great. You have so much opportunity, even in those weird industries. So really, the whole point of this discussion is to not only convince you, but to understand that for us, like the main pillars of authority in what we do at We Wild Women, in our Authority Booster Intensive and in our retainer-based work, is that social proof. To build the social proof, which takes time to create that recognition, which the recognition can be like, hey, maybe you are an author or you speak on stages or you've won awards. But really, the easiest recognition is to being recognized for what you know and your expertise and how you're different than everybody else. So if you're interested in us building out a strategy for you, or if you are looking for long-term help with PR and building your authority, go to wewildwomen.com and look at our programs. We have the Authority Booster Intensive, which is the VIP day, and our Sidelines to Headlines retainer-based program. That's wewildwomen.com. Go check it out. Until next time, ladies, peace out. So there you have it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Into the Wild. To make this girl happy and to help reach other women who are dreaming of starting their business, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and everywhere you listen in. Also, if you want to find me in the wild, check me out on Instagram at Renee_Warren. That's RENEE_WARREN. And leaving you with one of my favorite tips of all time: the best advice you could ever receive is from someone who has successfully done it before you. Until next time, ladies, peace out.